Despite the recent Purge Fest at DC, Batman still made the cut, with Matt Reeves working on its sequel like nothing's changed. But he's still got a discussion due about the film's future. This was recently confirmed by Reeves himself, along with other news, like his meeting with Gunn and Safran. Hey now, don't look so shocked. Just cause he's meeting Gunn doesn't mean his version of the Batverse is going to be canned. If that were happening, I'd be the first one to protest.
Wayne's own mayoral campaign. It was a shocking crime that remains unsolved to this day.
No, Batman isn't being canceled, but Matt's still meeting with DC because, well, the character does belong to them after all. So he's got to talk to the big guys up there to discuss his vision for the world's greatest detective and the overarching universe he's building, especially with shows like The Penguin. Obviously, now that Gunn and Safran have a 10-year plan of their own, they'd want to know what other creators are planning to make sure everyone's on the same page. You don't want two Batman films to be fighting the same villain now, do you? Chances are, Robert Pattinson will do it better anyway. How's WB going to cope with that? So to avoid this scenario, James, Peter, and Matt are coming together to talk about the future of Gotham's savior, proving to us that he's safe, along with other big news, that Batman is not coming to the DCEU. Nope, nil, nada. In fact, at this point, I don't think any superhero is, because with Superman ditched, Wonder Woman canceled, Black Adam being, well, a bitter aftertaste, and Batgirl, along with other projects, cut off, DC isn't left with a lot of content to continue with. But that's good, because it gives the studio a shiny, clean slate to restart with. Although sadly, even if we had loved Robert Pat's Batty to lead the way for new superheroes to join the cult at this point, that's not going to happen.
I got you. Can you hear me?
In fact, Batman may not even be the first priority for James Gunn right now, because while he hasn't revealed their plan yet, rumors about recasts are already going around, and Batman's not part of them. Superman is, but we'll get to that later.
Somehow Riddler knows who he is. If we find the rat, maybe it will lead us to him.
Now, you must be wondering, even if Reeves' Batman isn't joining the DCEU, he still has a movie or two to appear outside of the main universe. What if DC introduced its own Dark Knight during this time? The universe can't work without one, can it? So won't this cause the same confusion I just told you about earlier? Well, my dear viewers, you'll be glad to know that it will not, thanks to the Elseworlds. Don't be scratching your heads like that. I'm telling you all about it. So in the comics, Elseworlds is a version of stories that features alternate versions of a character's story outside of the main universe canon. Some of its popular stories include Batman, Gotham by Gaslight, where the superhero exists in 1889 and is hunting Jack the Ripper in London. Another one's The Flash, The Return of Barry Allen, where they explore a world where he comes back from the dead and how it affects the people around him. My absolute favorite is Batman Red Rain, where he's turned into a vampire by Dracula himself and finds himself struggling with his mortality and humanity while gaining new powers. Now, I'm sure Matt isn't thinking about introducing this plot in his movies, but what it proves is that gone are the days when all DC shows and films had to be connected with each other. Well, there wasn't a lot of continuity to begin with. But never mind that, because now that there's a whole decade plan happening, there's still a chance for DC heroes to exist outside of its main circle. This means that Matt's Batverse can be as crazy as possible without worrying about the future of DCEU's Justice League or whatever.
You really could be doing more for this city. Your family has a history of philanthropy, but as far as I can tell, you're not doing anything.
My question is, though, what exactly is in the plans for Batman now that we're in the clear for its release? Well, I've got some details, like Batman being the main focus. Well, duh, it's a film about Batman after all. But hear me out. So you know how the first movie was a kind of expose of the world around Bruce Wayne, where he uncovered some dark truths and came about his real identity? The next film will explore more of that identity part. According to Reeves, it's going to be all about the psychology of the characters set against a noir-driven world of Detective Batman. Also, this won't be like any other Batman franchise, where the superhero shares an equal spotlight with the villain. So take a back seat, Joker, Bane, Scarecrow, because this time, Bruce is the main entertainment. That's what I loved about the first movie too, by the way, like how Batman was given proper focus without taking away from the main story. And the next film will focus on the same, with Bruce Wayne and his alter ego under the spotlight, and everything else set around them, instead of a good versus bad story that we're so used to seeing in superhero films. Think of it as a coming-of-age film, but for a rich vigilante instead of a teenager. So now that we've addressed that with this super genius analogy, your next question is probably a pretty predictable one. Who's going to be the film's big bad? And to answer this one, I'll be naming 3 classic Batman villains: Mr. Freeze, Hush, and Two-Face. According to a Redditor, the story can be simple. The film starts with the Penguin's story, showing Oz in the middle of his political campaign. Harvey's face will already be burnt at this point, and the 2 main villains running about are Hush and Mr. Freeze. The latter would be on a mission to kill Oz because of his connection to Nora, and Hush partners with him to do that, just so he can scavenge frozen body parts to impersonate Bruce Wayne. Considering the film's co-writer Mattson Tomlin was the one who wrote The Imposter, this is a likely scenario where we'll have an imposter of the billionaire Wayne running about Gotham, and it's Batman's job to stop him. But according to another fan, this is a far-fetched idea, and there's a clear path where the next film will take us.
Memorial for Mary Mitchell. Serial killers like to follow reaction to their crimes. Riddler might not be able to resist.
Vengeance and hope. According to this guy, Hush and the imposters are too cliched, and we've already explored that part with the Riddler, who was inspired by Batman himself, using the imposter concept already. They also pointed out the first film's theme, that hurt people, but hope is your only chance for salvation, and that vengeance doesn't get you far in life. And that's the moral the sequence can follow up with. We did end the first film with hope being the final lesson. That is the one thing that can save you from yourself. That's where the sequel can start as well, with a Batman who's saving people instead of punishing criminals, at least to a large extent. But Batman being Batman, he'll be faced with the moral dilemma of not being able to save everyone, and that'll be the test of his patience and morality, along with the realization that no matter what he does, he really can't save himself. And that's when he finally realizes that he needs to be bigger than himself, a message to the people, and a beacon of hope so he can be the man Gotham needs. Now, I know that ended with a very The Dark Knight vibe, but you have to admit, the entire thing makes a lot of sense.
The hell are you supposed to be?
Plus, it gives our Batman room to grow and not just fight one villain after the other, just for the sake of it. Obviously, we'll find out the real story in 2025, when the movie comes out. But till then, there's no harm in exploring all the ways Matt can make Batman great again, right? With that, my night is over. See you in the next video.